Well, today we're standing in front of the Keestrack K6. It's a track-mounted scalping deck screener. And it's an interesting machine because it was actually one of the first Keestrack machines ever built. Initially it was called the Keestrack Pioneer. And to give you a little bit of history, Keestrack was the first company in the world to build this style of screening deck on tracks. All right, so what we're looking at right here is just the access doors into the control panel area. As you can see, you've got large access doors. Very well built, as you can see. It allows us to get excellent access inside the engine compartment here. So there's nothing that's hard to get at. We can see in here we have the fuel tank. It's a completely stainless steel fuel tank to resist corrosion from today's biofuels. We also have access into the rear. And then we also have access into the sides as well. So no other machine on the market has the same level of access into the critical areas where the engine, hydraulic coolers, pumps are. So I mean, as you can see, it's the fuel filters, the oil filters to change your oil. Everything is incredibly accessible. All right, so right now what we're looking at is the ReliTech control panel. It's an incredibly simple panel, like all the Keestrack machines. Simply turn the key here. We've got 6 buttons here. We can control each function independently, but what's most commonly used on these machines is the Autobot button, which essentially triggers the smart sequential auto start, auto stop feature. What that does, it just takes away the you don't need to independently control everything. You just hit that button, hold it for 2 seconds, and the whole screener starts up in the proper sequence. We also have the controls for adjusting the conveyor belts, lifting, lowering, and raising the side conveyor belts, raising the screen box for the maintenance position, as well as we can see we've got more controls. So they're all guarded in behind these heavy-duty doors, and it keeps everything away from falling rocks and debris, keeps everything safe, and prevents it from becoming damaged. Keestrack uses a load-sensing piston pump hydraulic system. What that does, it can sense where power is needed on the machines. So it can send more power to, say, the hydraulic motor on the fines conveyor if that conveyor is loading up. It also reduces the amount of hydraulic fluid that we need to have in the reservoir because it's a much more efficient pump. So with Keestrack's fuel-saving technology with the load-sensing piston pump hydraulics, it's been proven to save between 25 to 30% on your fuel bill. We can also get these screeners now in hybrid versions, diesel electric, so then that means it further reduces the fuel consumption by an additional 40% over that, and then it gives you the possibility to plug the screener directly into the grid, so running 100% electronically. Right here we're standing in front of the fines discharge conveyor, so this is probably the widest fines discharge and highest capacity in its class. This is a 1 meter wide conveyor belt, and this conveyor belt is capable of handling up to 400 tons per hour on this single belt, which is extremely high capacity for a screener in this league. All right, so back to access. As you can see, everything is very, very accessible. We can open this side up, look in, get in right underneath here. We've got storage, a storage box here for tools. We've got all the basic tools come with the machine that we need, grease, spare parts. It keeps it protected away from falling debris. The tail pulley on the mid-fraction conveyor, we can simply unclip it, and this swings open as well. Means for cleaning out in here, doing inspections. It's just amazing how Keestrack has designed these machines to be so user-friendly. So many little things that they've thought of that in the field just make an operator's life much easier. So right now we're standing in front of the oversized discharge conveyor, extremely heavy-duty conveyor. It's about 1.5 meters wide. Most of the other competitors in its class, the conveyor would be about 1.2 to 1.3 meters wide, so quite a bit narrower. They've also, if we take a look at the hydraulic motor that powers this conveyor, it goes into a gear reducer, and what that does is it increases the torque on that motor by over 7 times over a standard motor, so it's got far more torque. So this screen deck here is capable of taking say a 36-inch size rock and then conveying that material up and over the end without stalling the conveyor out. It's got an incredible amount of power. It also has a very unique design. We can't see it, unfortunately, just by looking at it here, but essentially it's got a trampoline under here, so the conveyor belting runs like is semi-suspended at this point. So as a large rocks hit it, it does not directly impact an impact bed or rollers. The conveyor belt takes some of that energy out like a trampoline would. It's a very unique design. Nobody else in the industry has it. And it just makes these machines incredibly robust. In fact, there's many of these Keestrack Frontiers, because now they've been around for over 20 years, that are still operating. Some of the original machines that were built are still operating with excess of 20-30,000 working hours on the machine. So it's just a phenomenally built machine. The way that Keestrack is designed on this mid-fraction conveyor, the conveyor actually, most other screeners, the conveyor comes down quite low here, but they've got theirs tucked up nice and tight, gives us a ton of ground clearance under this. So it's a very off-road friendly machine. We don't have to be worried about hitting the tail pulley here on the mid-fraction conveyor. So it's another Keestrack exclusive. All right, so right now we're sitting in front of the infeed conveyor. On every Keestrack K6 model, you can see extremely heavy-duty steel track-type infeed conveyor. This comes standard on every single machine. They don't bring them out in rubber. It's just it's too light duty for the types of applications these machines operate in. So I mean, when you can picture 36-inch minus granite being loaded into this hopper, and it needs to be able to take that abuse for thousands and thousands of hours. So right now we're sitting on top of the screen box. It's a 2-deck screen box. Typically, like we can see in this video here, we've got a 3-inch punch plate on the top deck, and then we've got a 1-inch bottom deck. This screen box is roughly 6 feet wide by about 16 feet long, and this machine, in many applications, we're seeing the production range in the anywhere from 500 up to 700 tons per hour capacity on this particular plant here. What we're looking at right here is just a replaceable filter element. Keestrack puts these on all their breathers for their fuel tanks and their hydraulic tanks. It just adds another layer of protection to keep the contamination out of these sensitive systems. Keestrack really does live up to their motto, which is performance in every detail. So when you start looking at all these little details that come together, they really create a very high performance machine, which is why Keestrack is setting the bar in many areas in the industry.